Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Yes, it's another day for us to right the wrongs in our lives and, of course, in our today as well. Good morning and welcome to Rise and Shine, coming live to you from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran, and of course to all our neighbors around here. I will say very great good morning to you, and from wherever you're watching us from this morning, good morning and welcome to the show.
Yes, today is bright and fair. Oh, happy day. It's a good morning to be here. I am Uyanek and thanks for joining us.
Okay, so you just made me remember, take my mind back to primary school and nursery school where we normally do the march past. The day is bright,
and then happy day. So it's a happy day.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
You call it what you want to see, you call it what you want to experience. So in spite of everything, it's a happy day. It's going to be a happy day at the end of the day.
I would just hope that our viewer, you get to wake up at the right side of your bed. Okay?
Yeah, well, even if you didn't wake up at the right side of your bed, whatever that means, just try as much as possible to have a good experience today.
Definitely. Make every minute and every second count for you today, okay? Anyways, welcome to Rise and Shine show. You know how we do it here. We make sure that we bring you all the trendy gist and very topical issues as well, bothering us in Nigeria, the only country that we have.
The only country
that
we have.
Our own. So we have to keep talking about things until, we begin to see the things that we want to see in a positive light.
Dialogue is one of the way forward.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, there's a lot that's been happening. Just yesterday, we were celebrating one of our veteran actors, Lou Jacobs, who was in the news for all the right reasons. And then somewhere along the day, we found out that there was another veteran actor who popped on the scene. But then the images were not so heartwarming. They were not good at all for someone who's as old as that and has made his quota of investment into the Nollywood industry. So veteran actor Kenneth Aguba was found, pictures of him surfaced on the internet showing him as a homeless person, and I mean really dressed in some rickety outfits and all of this stuff. And of course, you know how Nigeria is, social media is ready and awash at any time to pick up things and run the race. So of course there's already been a very great campaign that has started, fixing him up in the home, getting him something to do. And I mean, I think in the space of just 24 hours a lot of things have changed about him. But I mean, that particular conversation has so many sides to it already.
Yeah, definitely has so many sides to it. Now, one of the sides to it is that this particular actor is a veteran, and he's one of the pioneers of Nollywood. He's been in the scene since 1990 something. Okay, and of course he is, like you said, given his quota to making sure that the Nollywood industry comes alive, and is also bubbly as well. And when pictures of him came on social media saying he's homeless, living in an open space, with all his cooking utensils and household items scattered everywhere, a lot of fingers started pointing to the Actors Guild as being not doing great in terms of making sure that this particular actor is okay. But again, another side to the story is that the General Overseer of Omega Power Ministry, Chibuzo Chinyere, has offered free accommodation and medical treatment to veteran actor Kenneth Jidofor, popularly known as Aguba. Now, the actor had trended on the internet since a Monday, where it was reported that he was homeless. Now, with regards to the image which has been making rounds on social media, Kenneth Aguba was spotted living in an open shelter opposite a clothes shop with various cooking utensils. You can see that on the screen now, which belongs to him. Now, since that photo went viral, a lot of Nigerians actually expressed anger and criticized the Actors Guild of Nigeria, questioning why they haven't helped their own despite their trust fund programs. Now, another side to this is that Yule Doche came out to say that he saw the picture and announced publicly that he would assist his colleague. Now, he wrote on his verified Twitter account, he says, "This one a small matter. Me, I don't believe in too much talk or time wasting. Just get him to do a short video calling out his account details and post it online. We'll do crowdfunding for him. He will never lack anything again." But
yeah, but that sounded, it came off somehow when I read it. It had a sarcastic undertone,
yes,
you know, under it, like, okay, I mean, this is not even a problem. Just do a social media, you know, campaign, and then everybody comes along. I mean, he could have put it in any way possible. He would have made it sound nice, but that didn't come out so you know, when it feels like you want to help someone with the back of your hand and all this kind of stuff, and then you just call out the person one way or the other. I mean, just get him to do a video, you know, calling out his friend.
You know, I was beginning to wonder. I say, oh, someone that is living, is homeless, is living in an open space. Do you expect that kind of person to have even a smartphone, you know, to use and start making videos? Have
no, that one even includes that people can even help him make the videos.
You have even asked if he has eaten for some time now, that you even have the strength. Come on,
I think that's what Yule is trying to solve.
If you want to help somebody, go ahead and help somebody. Now, for
this one sounds like he's making a jest of him, yes, in an attempt to help. Yes,
true that. Now, you see the case of the pastor of Omega Power Ministries, now the general overseer. He did not say go make a video. He just said, can someone get me his contact? Can somebody get him to me? And that was it, you know. And I think let's come down to the fact that I really need to commend the general overseer of OPM, because he's been like a major, he's been providing major succor to a lot of people that, you know, are going through stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I take my mind back to when there was this, I think, what is it now? There was this people he actually helped.
Deborah Samuel, when Deborah Samuel died.
Yes, he brought her parents all the way from the north and made sure that, you know, he accommodated them and provided healthcare services for them. Yes. He did a lot of stuff.
Donated about a 14-block house and then set up a business for her family. So he's been in the news for all this kind of, you know, right reasons, helping people that are, you know, like relegated in the background. But now this other story still has a very, you know, when I read the story, I'm like, okay, sir, okay, man of God. You know, so the General Overseer of OPM also moved on this premise to say that any woman who was interested in marrying Kenneth Aguba should come forward, and he went ahead to list the only criteria that he needed for any lady who was, you know, interested in marrying. So not just is he willing to give Kenneth Aguba free accommodation, he wants to also marry him off, you know, to any lady who's willing. And
but Kenneth also said, you know, it was Kenneth that said, look, I still want to get married.
Oh yeah,
he needs a woman in his life. Come on.
So the OPM general moved up, you know, to help him with that.
For a 24-year-old girl. No, and he's about 71.
No, it's the 24-year-old girl that has opted.
No, I think part of the requirement was that the person should be about 24.
Why would you say the person should be about 24?
For a 71-year-old man. And someone popped up. Look at her.
Look at. See, she knows why she's going there. I mean, because Apostle Chibuzo mentioned that you must live with him for 10 years after the wedding without separation or divorce, which means that both of you must live together for 10 years. After 10 years, you are free to either remain in marriage or divorce, you know, however you may please. He also said the said lady who comes to marry Kenneth Aguba must agree to operate a joint account for the business OPM is opening for both of you, meaning for any bank withdrawals, both of you must go to the bank together. Okay, then I think he gave four points. The third one, he said you must never deny him access to perform his conjugal rights after the wedding. Then he says a team from the church will be visiting your home once in a month
to make sure
that
things
everything
are going
is
all
going
right.
well and peacefully. I mean, and then he said, of course, he said for any lady that agrees to these conditions, send your phone number so we can commence the marriage process, then move forward. I'm like,
and of
whoa.
course, someone somewhere, I think her name is Anastasia or something, just had this, requirements, and she just felt, oh, I'm capable, I can do it. I'm a wife material, according to what she put up on her social media page. I'm a wife material, 100 yachts. Hey! And then she showed, of course, that she can cook as well. These are some of the pictures she used in
The
trying
lady is
to
so ready to cash out of whatever this is
go, Pastor Chibuzor to wife her to, Aguba. So
wow.
we
But
just
funny as it may be, we might actually be looking at a wedding on our hand.
of course, yeah.
But
The wedding,
how viable is this
Kenneth,
thing?
if Kenneth actually likes her enough to want to marry her, right now he's hot cake now. Come on,
That's a condition, no? That's something that we haven't, looked into, because he might come up and say, "Oh, I don't like her height.
Yeah.
I don't like how tall or how short she is.
Or I
I
don't
like
like
people that have
fair-skinned.
meat. Yeah, I like people that have
fair-skinned
meat and people
lady.
that don't have body weight. That's something else. But we'll be here to tell you the story
Definitely,
as it unfolds.
that's our job, to tell you the story as it unfolds. But we just hope that we are happy that somebody that has contributed so much to the Nollywood industry wasn't left homeless at the end of the day. I know that the Actors Guild actually came out to give a statement to that regard, talking about the fact that they had been taking care of Kenneth for over 4 years, until recently when his case degenerated. The national president of the guild, Ejezie Emeka Rollers, wishes to state in clear terms that the guild has never abandoned Kenneth Aguba, and then the Enugu State chapter of the guild and the individual members have been supportive in both provision of accommodation and medical interventions in the past 4 years to the veteran actor, until his matter, which could be a spiritual issue, degenerated recently. So that's another
That's another twist to
issue
it
right now.
If we're saying it's a spiritual issue, and then I hope that the OPM pastor gets wind of this kind of information. So apart from just providing him an accommodation or something, maybe we should be looking at some form of rehabilitation of his mind, of course, which can be done even in the church. I mean, those are some of the services that the church offers. And if it's a case where you say he's going to get deliverance or whatever, if the Actors Guild is of the opinion that this might be a spiritually related case, then maybe some form of deliverance and mental rehabilitation should be done for Kenneth Aguba. So going forward, once he's set up, even the business that the OPM ministry wants to set up for him, we can know that, okay, this particular person is taken care of for the longest time.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, we'll just move away from that particular story now. Now look at something that started trending yesterday. We also have videos for that particular purpose. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria on Tuesday assured all stakeholders that none of the intending pilgrims for the 2022 Hajj from Nigeria would be left stranded. But that's not the case, as just as it said that it has so far transported 29,128 pilgrims and 920 officials in 73 flights into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But videos have been popping up on social media where a lot of these pilgrims that are supposed to be part of the 2022 Hajj have been complaining that they have been abandoned at the airport. And I don't know, yes, these are pictures of it. We also have a video of a particular lady that complained seriously about what's actually happened, and the fact that government have actually abandoned them at the airport. And some people actually also said that they've been denied visas as well to travel for this particular Hajj 2022.
I mean, this is something that has been in the news for quite a while. The fact that the governing body for Hajj was planning and putting everything in place for the Hajj to go successfully. Something we must also acknowledge is the fact that the price money to be able to go for Hajj is actually on the very high side. And if you're looking at the fact that they're taking people from all across all class and strata of life, then you might actually look at the fact that this kind of thing is billed to happen. I mean, the bill is up to about 2 million plus as the last time I checked, and it differs from state to state.
But I used to also think that the federal government gives some kinds of how do you call waivers now?
Yeah, I know. Yes, the federal government does give some form of waiver, and the price money we're even talking about is what it came to after the federal government's waiver for this year's Hajj.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll just take a video and then we'll get back to the conversation once we're done.
To Hajj this year. Now we've been at this since last week. The visa came out on Saturday evening. The visa we had paid since, and the visa came out on Saturday. Now since that Saturday, we've been at the airport trying to board. Now this is Al Yusuf. He is a travel tour agent, and he was the one I paid to. A lot of us, please guys, please come. A lot of us here paid. We got a visa on Saturday, and we got to the airport on Sunday morning at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, only to be told that the airspace had been closed. That NACO and who? NACO and Ahum are going to provide a rescue flight. Now, that is what we've been made to wait for. We waited, and we were asked to come to Abuja on Sunday. We were in Abuja, everybody, some of us paid 115,000 for one-way flight, some paid 125, some paid 96,000 for one-way from our pockets. Do you understand? Now, we got into Abuja. We've been at this since yesterday. We were made to pay 750,000 again, each. Amongst us, we have elderly women. We have elderly women amongst us. These are women, elderly women. We've been catering for them since Saturday. We all flew into Abuja on Sunday morning. Now, we were made to pay 750. Now, the thing is, some paid 750, some paid 720, some paid 775. Where is that confusion coming from? NACO, National Kinimwa, National Hajj Commission, you have defrauded us. We were going to the only land to go and serve Allah. And Lord Shisheni, we did not go through the back door. So all the necessary authorities come to our aid. Now the airspace is going to be fully closed or finally closed. Some of the generals' wives were just coming in. They were coming in tonight, and they allowed them. They went to give them boarding passes. These are officials here. I don't care what you are. You actually locked the gate on us. This man here locked the gate on us. He didn't want us to come in. This woman requested and asked why we were asked to come in. Now, we are here at the airport. Nigerians, this is what they are doing to us. What's that power? And what you want is 750,000 extra. What pada lole? Awata ni ati wani airport. Last Saturday. I decided not to make this video earlier than this time because I wanted to know if anything positive will come out from it. They kept lying to us. The chairman, Dr. Kinney, the man with the white beard, he saw us and ran out. He ran away. NACO, ati Ahum.
Such a sad situation there, such a loud outcry from Mrs. Kukui, I mean, having to pay even 750,000 on the spot. What happens to people that didn't plan for such an emergency, and calling out to Nakon and Aun for all of these kinds of irregularities. And I mean, she said they've been there for over 24 hours, since 4 a.m. and then nothing seemed to have been done. After all preliminary measures had been put in place, for these kinds of things not to happen. Of course, we hope that the governing bodies for the Hajj would come out and give a viable explanation as to why that kind of thing is happening. And at a time where everything is really expensive, people are having to live on very tight budgets. It's not fair that they would come after, fulfilling all the necessities to even get to travel for the Hajj, and are still being put under some form of strain, and so to speak.
Stress as well. Anyways, we just hope that the federal government, in the future, will look into the lapses that have been, experienced in this particular Hajj, and try to see as well that, they put things in place to make sure that it doesn't happen again. We are going to go on a short break now, and we'll go over to the news brief desk. And after that, of course, Rise and Shine will definitely continue. Just stay with us. Don't go nowhere.
legislature. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killing city.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. for Legally Speaking.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's a bad thing in Nigeria. All for election night, you about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reforms they are carrying out, they will still be rigging.
It's about the aspirants, the manifesto, the people's view, an in-depth analysis.
That godfatherism is what has eaten deep into our political system. It has become a cankerworm that has left our political system into a corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest, they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them have stolen a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
Who gets to represent you in government at all levels?
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say, definitely, I wouldn't want them to come back definitely to power.
Join us on Akwa Ibom Decides every Saturday and Sunday by 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
Knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs creates new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
As of government, Secretary General,
This was the label voting for Spectrum TV to improve for the life
Good morning. This is your morning news brief on Spectrum, live from Uyo. I am Uyai Anekan. We begin with the Federal Executive Council as it has approved 22.45 billion naira for contracts in the Ministries of Petroleum Resources and Environment. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Timothy Sylvia confirmed this to State House correspondents after the weekly virtual Federal Executive Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. In another development, the Islamic State in West Africa province ISWAP has claimed responsibility for Tuesday's attack on the medium security custodial center in Kuje, Abuja. In a statement shared via a news channel run by the Islamic State, they claimed to have successfully liberated dozens of prisoners after demolishing the walls of the facility. Away from that, Justice Inyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the National Identification Management Commission to immediately release the biodata of David Ukwo to the Attorney General of the Federation for onward transmission to the United Kingdom court. The court issued the order following a request to that effect by the NIMC and in response to the request of the detained former Deputy President of the Nigerian Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, to defend himself in a London court. We head now to the foreign scene where Boris Johnson is fighting to stay on in number 10 despite his support collapsing in another dramatic day of resignations. The Prime Minister was defiant despite many previously loyal supporters, including Priti Patel and Grant Shapps, calling for him to step down. And finally, in sports, Raheem Sterling has agreed personal terms with Chelsea and confirmation of his move from Manchester City is now imminent. The England international headed a short list of Thomas Tuchel's attacking targets and had entered the final year of his contract with City, who are grateful for his service and will not obstruct his desire to leave. We'll have details of the stories and more in our news at 12. I am Uyaya Nyeka. We head back to the Rise and Shine crew to stay with us.
Government, Secretary General, delegates.
This will be Lagos, Nigeria for Spectrum TV to recover 45 seconds still counting.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
A knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs creates new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's a bad thing in Nigeria. All election night is about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reform they are carrying out, they will still be rigging.
It's about the aspirants, the manifesto, the people's view, an in-depth analysis.
That godfatherism is what has eaten deep into our political system. It has become a cankerworm that has left our political system into a corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest, they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them have stolen a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
Who gets to represent you in government at all levels?
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say, definitely, I wouldn't want them to come back definitely to power.
Join us on Akwa Ibom Decides every Saturday and Sunday by 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's still Rise and Shine. And of course, you know where we are reaching you from, the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Anyways, we just came back from the tables of our news brief, and we're going straight to something very important. And just to remind you that you can be a part of this conversation, head up straight to our Facebook or YouTube, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng. Yesterday, we talked about extensively about the security situation in the country, and of course we had someone talk to us all the way from Katsina State, giving us Dr. Getso, giving us like a typical experience of what people are going through in that particular region, not just Katsina State now, but the north part of Nigeria. And just yesterday, of course, pictures flooded the internet telling us about the Kuje prison attack that happened. Now, Boko Haram terrorists actually launched a ferocious attack on Kuje Correctional Center on Tuesday night, deploying bombs and rocket-propelled grenades and also general-purpose machine guns freeing no less than 600 inmates, including Boko Haram fighters, detained at the facility. And of course, when you talk about attacks on correctional centers, one thing that comes to mind is the fact that for some reason they just want to let go of, people that have been captured from a particular camp, of course criminals that have been captured from a particular camp, and maybe the government is not willing to release those people, trying to squeeze them to get more information as to what they can do to salvage a particular situation. And so of course, if we hear that a particular correctional center was attacked, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that, okay, they are going to release their members.
People of their own sect.
Yes, of course, yes. And that's what's played out in this particular Kuje Correctional Center attack facility.
And we see that at the end of the day, about 800 inmates, of course, escaped out of the 994 people that we have. And there's been a lot of comments and reactions even by people who live around the Kuje correctional facility. One Chukwuemeka Michael spoke of his experience, calling it a very scary moment for him as an adult. And he recounts the fact that before the attack, he and his friends had noticed an unusual presence of unknown groups of men sitting at different positions and smoking along the streets where the prison is located. And he shares the fact that he was worried about the situation, but believed that everything was in place because of the presence of the facility. I mean, this is some place that has some form of, security mounted. We just expect that because of the presence of the facility, everything will be fine. And it goes to say that oftentimes when these kinds of situations happen around us, you will always see the presence of unknown faces. You're going to see, activities happen, wrongly. I just imagine if at this point, these people who noticed these varying activities in their environment had called out for help, so to speak, to like higher security forces, as in communicating intelligence becomes very important at this level. Because I mean, one thing to see, I mean, look at the visuals that we have on our screen, fire gutting, cars and buildings and all of those things. I'm sure that a lot of things were lost, including probably lives in the process. And Michael Chukwuemeka was saying, given the proximity of his house to the prison wall, the sounds from the explosives that were used, as we can see on our screens, were like dynamites. Of course, this has been reported. He said he heard the sounds of explosions 3 to 4 times during the attack. It happened around this area here because they were outside waiting for bikes to take them back to their houses behind the prison where they live. And then the next thing they began to hear were explosives. So the entrance of Kuje medium prison brought down by suspected Boko Haram terrorists by these explosives. Some guys were there smoking around the prison area and seemed to just have been
from the experience that this particular Chukwuemeka is giving of his experience to that attack. Obviously it wasn't like something that happened maybe in the thick night. It was something that happened maybe
when activity was still going on.
Were still going on around the area. And then to just add to that, of course, we know the story of Abba Kyari. Abba Kyari is a Nigerian police officer who is a deputy commissioner of police, currently on suspension, and relieved from all police duties pending the outcome of internal investigation into his alleged connection with the Gushi King, popular alleged fraudster Ramon Abbas, Hush Puppy. And we know that that particular facility, which is the Kuje facility now, is where Abba Kyari was. And of course, report has it that so many inmates, ran away from that particular facility. But another report is also saying that some of them came back. Some of them came back on their own, while some were, captured back by the Nigerian military.
Okay, when you say that some came back on their own, it means that at the sound of those explosives, most of them were just campering for their own safety.
Maybe.
It's not a bad idea that we are in prison. We do not just have to die, because some of them maybe are waiting trial and may be looking at regaining their freedom sometime soon. It's good to know that people, it's not everybody who's in prison who's had their, their minds, their conscience, totally seared. But this is a very serious issue that we have on our hand. And I'm looking at the fact that ISWAP has actually come out to claim responsibility for the attack on the Kuje correctional facility. Is one mind-numbing effect. It has a mind-numbing effect, because it means we are getting to a place in the proclivities of the security system in Nigeria where bandits can just come, attack an organization, execute whatever mayhem they want to, and come out and freely say that they did this, we did this. You don't even have to start scampering for who did it. Just like what Dr. Getso said yesterday, we know where the bandits are, we know where they are in the forest, we know who they are. So at this point, they're not even hiding anymore. They perpetrate their evil and come out and tell you, guys, you don't even have to worry, we are the ones that did this. So one begins to think, what does the federal government, what are they going to do with regards to this kind of information that is made in broad daylight? I mean, the Islamic State in West Africa province has claimed responsibility for the attack in Kuje prison, where inmates were freed in Abuja. The terrorists claimed the responsibility in a video released Wednesday night. In the video, the terrorists showed how some of its members entered the prison. They were deliberate about what they released to the public. The 38-second video showed that the terrorists shot indiscriminately before gaining access into the prison. I mean, look at it.
I think this is becoming more worrisome. Just like you said, some group of people just come out and unleash mayhem, and then come out in the open with videos to show for it, to say, look, federal government, we did this thing. And the federal government, I don't know, do they do something about it, or do they just keep mute, or they just lack the willpower to begin to prosecute these people? Because it's something that is worrisome. Just yesterday we talked about the fact that the convoy of the president, where he was that carried his thematic team ahead of his going to Daura for the Salah celebration, was attacked. And in that particular attack, 2 people in his team were killed. So we are also saying that nobody from the other side of the attack was killed or captured. And we know the kind of high intelligence team that the president would have. So these are some of the complacencies that we're talking about that is happening in the country, and we feel that nobody is safe anymore in this particular country. Does the federal government lack the willpower to prosecute these things? And again, if we need like foreign help to make sure that Nigeria becomes safe again, why don't we go for it? There was a time that they said bandits should be prescribed terrorists because of the kinds of attack that they unleash. That we do not see them as bandits anymore. And that was achieved. The federal government prescribed them terrorists, which means that it has become more like a global issue where we need foreign assistance to make sure that these things are nipped on the board. But we continue to hear this every other day. And sometimes I begin to wonder, is there some form of agitations these people are asking for? Why not go to the dialogue table and see how you can dialogue out this whatever issue it is with the federal government? I think that makes a whole lot of sense than you coming out every day killing people, maiming people, and with the kind of picture that was painted out for us yesterday during the conversation from Katsina State. There's some gory things happening in this country, and we really need to stand up to it.
Yeah, we need to stand up to it. I mean, we're looking at the fact that with regards to the Kuje prison attack, we're even having where it said that the terrorists were handing out 2,000 naira to inmates who wanted like transportation fare to go to whatever locations they wanted to go to. So we see people who are deliberately destroying the fabric of the nation's organization, right? They are trying to destroy the order, the way things are done. You're trying to release, people that shouldn't be seen and I mean, interacted with on the street, you're sending them back. And I mean, some of these people, if we are not careful, are going to be co-opted into, you know, the Boko Haram sect. Of course, we have already established the fact that part of this move was to free some of their people that were held in Kuje prison. You know, they don't want information to go out. Although, like we heard yesterday, Dr. Getso said categorically that they have all the requisite information that they need to move in on these bandits and attack and regain the country. But like you would always ask, what is holding back, you know, the Nigerian armed forces, the federal government, from moving and swinging into action? We are seeing these kinds of things every day, and you can imagine the people who live in Kuje, how they feel. Thankfully, we do not have any information of any kinds of casualties as a result of the explosives that were released. We don't even have necessarily, okay, a few people had actually gotten injured and it said that they're getting treated, you know, as a result of that. But it could have been worse. The explosive could have, you know, gone beyond the walls of the prison and began to run into the Kuje community. But at this time, we are looking at a federal government that goes beyond coming out to give us a press statement. We are very sure that today we are going to read a lot of things from Garba Shehu.
Yes, and then we also saw the president, you know, visiting the Kuje prison area, you know, and like true to type, he said condemnable. Yes,
of course.
So that's what we get to hear almost all the time. Condemnable. Yes, we know it is condemnable already. But what actions have been put in place to make sure that these things do not repeat itself?
Yeah.
So when it becomes like a recurrent issue, it becomes recurrent every other day, we begin to see things like this happen. So we know that we have a more serious
issue
on our hands to handle.
One will begin to ask and imagine the amount of time that they spend attacking the facility. Don't we have an armed force, a squad that is attached to the Kuje area? Because we do not have any reports of this attack being intercepted by men of the Nigerian armed force or necessary security agencies.
Of course, if you have a correctional center, you don't necessarily have, you know, militaries safeguarding the places.
They may not be on standby safeguard, but we have the military that is assigned to the area. Let's call it a quick response team.
Okay.
Yes, even if it's not going to be for the Kuje area or the Kuje prison, we believe that every zone, every area has a quick response team. Why? In the period of time that this attack was going on, we did not hear of any report of a quick response team. It goes to speak further about the proliferation of information going around in this sect, in this organization. Someone must have been privy of this information that this was going to happen.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes.
The person who is responsible for calling out the shots of, oh, we need men to be deployed to Kuje prison immediately to intercept what's going on there, that call was not made. So who are they fooling? Why are they fooling Nigerians?
Okay, so I think I also wanted to talk about the fact that we as citizens ourselves, I think we owe ourselves some form of responsibility. And what is this responsibility? It's very simple. Give information at the right time. So you cannot say, for example, now the experience of the Chukwuemeka guy that stays around that area. He gave an information of his experience.
Yes.
Now you see strange people. You see strange
in their number.
In their numbers. Okay, and let's take it back to yesterday's conversation where Dr. Getso said that these people come in motorbikes for like 300, 200 motorcycles, and they are just driving through a particular community. And the people, you want to tell me that the people in that community do not know that, look, these are bandits?
Yeah.
Of course, we've seen videos of bandits. They don't come out
we
like
all now know how they operate.
Do you get?
Yeah.
So they come out cladded in some form of wrapped, you know, clothes around their head, or there's a mask covering their nose or something like that.
Although that might not have been the situation here, because Chukwuemeka spoke, they just came and they were drinking.
They hang their artilleries over the body. Okay, so you could know that these people are not just regular military people. Okay, so why doesn't the citizens also give information?
Tip off.
But another thing is, while we are asking that citizens give information, have the government also provided like emergency numbers, you know, that the citizens can actually put a phone call across. The US would do 911. Okay, you call a 911 and then you get immediate response. We've had, on the lighter note now, we've had situations where you know, robbers attack a particular home, and you know, the police gives a number, like an emergency number for you to call, and then you call, and then they're telling you at the other side, this number is not available. Now the person is not like a prompt voice now talking, is the main people
who pick up the phone.
Who pick up the phone.
Everything now becomes a joke for
available.
everybody.
You know,
and I know that sometimes
this
we
is a
have
serious
numbers.
case. We need like an emergency number where people can like on the
Call,
swift, call those numbers, and not just calling the numbers. There's a swift response as well. If we begin to initiate things like this, I think it will also help us, you know, in trying to curb whatever it is that is happening in the country. But whether we like it or not, the truth still stares at us at the face that, you know, the military has been sabotaged, the government has been sabotaged. So there are some people in the mainstream that would give information that this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this
and
is
someone is going to intercept that information.
No, like they're giving information, intels, even to these bandits. So more like bandits have people, their members planted everywhere. Okay? They have their members planted everywhere. So why can't the federal government also, as part of intelligence, begin to plant their own members in the camps of this bandits?
Like I would always say that I believe personally that Nigeria has what it takes to overcome the security menace that we have.
I seriously agree.
Someone is just not making that call. Someone is not just making the short. But then when we talk about giving toll-free lines for people to be able to call if there were any cases of emergency that need to be reported, we have some numbers that fly around. But I don't know why an emergency number should have 11 numbers.
Do you get? And then sometimes you forget this number.
You forget the numbers. When you are under emergency, you don't have the time to scroll your contacts to start looking for a national emergency number. Why don't we have a toll-free number that has 3 or 4 digits that can be spread across all the media, and someone can call and just get respite when we can from these forces? Why do we have 11 numbers? And these 11 numbers are different numbers for different reasons.
And then you call the particular number, they're telling you, oh, we don't have fuel in our van to come to your rescue.
I'm telling you.
Or you call, and then they come like 2 hours after the operation.
Or telling you that they've closed from duty. I mean, these are some of the laxity, just like Dr. Getsu was saying yesterday. In as much as we have people within the force that are passionate about their work, that are passionate about their country, we have others that were put into those positions by their godfathers, people who have 4 legs in these institutions. I'm sure these are some of the, no interest in the work whatsoever. They are not willing to go and lay down their life because it's not what they asked for. It's just one way of earning a living and all the likes. I'm sure those are some of the people that pick your calls on the other end and tell you cock and bull stories. But we need to be more proactive as a society, and we hope that beyond press statements we get some more respite as a nation. And for Nigerians, I believe that, like we have been saying all week long, it's necessary for us to become more responsive and more responsible for ourselves. You cannot see those kinds of activities and not do all it takes within your power to report to the necessary, authorities. One thing be said, you reported, let the other blame be on them for not, putting through with any form of quick response.
Definitely. Well, I think that's the much we'll be able to take for this particular conversation. We'll now go to something else, and of course we're going to be talking about flooding. This is more like a serious challenge for those in the areas like Lagos State. Lagos State people have been under serious challenges of flooding in recent times, and a lot has been said, towards what are the major causes of this flooding. But we are also going to be linking it here in Uyo to see how this flooding can cause environmental hazards, and also what we have to do as a people to make sure that we stay free from flooding. We are, talking about Lagos State now. I know that Lagos State is a very swampy area, more like somewhere that is surrounded by water. And recently pictures of different areas where flood have overtaken Lagos, you know, has been springing forth. Reports have had it that serious challenges that has caused this flooding in Lagos State. But it's not only Lagos State, because I know that research has shown that there are several other states that are flood prone, like flood prone areas now. And I think that before it gets to this situation, people need to begin to do things, you know, in preparation for a time such as this. Because if, let's say, my community is flood prone, I think that aside from government doing stuff to make sure that, you know, when the floods come, they do not ruin you know, facilities, they do not cause some kind of environmental hazards, they do not take lives, you know, individuals also have to put things in place to make sure that they get ready for the floods when the floods comes. For example, like not stuffing your drainages with dirt, because of course that would hamper, you know, the free flow of water when actually the rains come. But another thing I think we want to look at is the fact that most of those places that are flood prone, they have like very terrible drainage systems, where the government is not providing good drainage systems for you know, the water to have a free flow. Of course, if water doesn't have free flow, it will definitely flow into your homes, because it's looking for somewhere. It's looking for a channel to move out.
Any pathway becomes a pathway for the water,
for the water
to run.
move.
Yes, I think proper drainage systems is something that we need to, you know, clamor on for, you know, some more. And when you say that people should begin to plan ahead of the rainy season, I mean, who are these people? The people in charge of this environmental maintenance at every ministry and corporation that should be taking responsibility should have plans ahead of the coming rainy season. I remember asking that question back here in Akwa Ibom State some months back when the rains were just starting, and we spoke to the Honorable Commissioner Sir Charles Udo. You know, we're asking some of the things that they have put in place to combat the coming issues of flood that may emerge as a what's the word now, as a result of the rains that are coming. And of course, he had given some explanations. Like back here in New York, we have some roads that are flooded, that are prone to flood, and in recent times we've seen the state government swing into action. There's been some work being done on the road, but it goes to say the rains are coming, work is being done on the road. It doesn't mean that we are going to have any form of relief, because these things probably should have been done earlier, before now, before the rains you know, have begun to pour very heavily. But at least we can see that with regards to the IBB 2-lane road, which usually was like a major problem of flood back here in Akwa Ibom State, that is being, you know, like under construction. Sir Charles Udo had mentioned the fact that they had taken like quotation of every area that was prone to flood, and that the state government was, you know, taking care of some of these things. But sometimes, you know, we have reports of flooding in major roads, but there are some hinter roads that people living in the area cannot even ply because of the issue of flooding. Now we're looking at Lagos State. We have some of the high-rise areas that are full of flood. Even back here in Akwa Ibom, we have areas like the Ikorak-Panabia axis, where when it rains, some people live on the other end of the river, some other people live on this other end of the river. You need to, you know, remove your shoes and everything, and you know, go into that water yourself. Motorbikes do not even, they won't even help you, because they can't enter the water. The water is further getting deeper and deeper. So people just have to find other means of crossing and getting into their homes. This water gets into people's compounds, people's homes, and, you know, people think, look at this, things are hanging, you know, up in the open. We have some areas around Ekpe in Sukara here in Uyo, where the hinter areas are flooded. When it comes to the rainy season, those people are just, you know, looking for a way to help themselves out, and these things happen every now and then. Rainy season is a constituted time by what do I call it now, by geography, by geology, whatever, you know. we know when it's going to begin to rain. We know when we have the dry season. So why don't we put in the work with all the time that we have during the the dry season in preparation for when the rains begin to come? Why don't we clear out the gutters during dry season? Because we know one of the reasons why we suffer, draining during the rainy season is that the gutters are filled with waste by the citizens.
That's right.
Yeah. So why don't we even swing into action, open up these gutters, get them cleared before the rains begin to come, so that we do not suffer some of these things? Because we do not put the government in bad light, yeah? Because for some reason, some of the drainage systems that we have can cater for, at least to a reasonable extent, the draining needs that we have. But when we have these draining systems clogged with waste, now therein is the problem. But we have ample time to be able to clear.
I think, just like you said, in preparation for the rainy season and the attendant flood, that would come, the meteorologist, department will always tell us ahead of time, okay, so this state, that state, that state, that state is prone to flooding, when the rain starts. So I think that should give government an ample time also to begin to create awareness. So just like I said, it's not like putting government in bad light, but I think that sometimes citizens need education, to educate them on the way to go or the things they should do or not do, and make sure that there's implementation of this thing. More like you could create a task force to make sure that people don't dump refuse in the drainage systems. Now, and aside from that, now I know that another thing that has actually caused some kind of flooding has been more like factors that causes flooding, is the fact that people go and build their houses on top drainages. How can you do that? You don't love your life, first of all, to be able to do that, build a house on a drainage system. It is not right. And I think that is one of the reasons that people have actually said, because a lot of people took to their Twitter accounts to talk about some of the issues that have caused the flooding issue in Lagos State. And I'll just read out some of the tweets. It says, drainage or not, Lagos is below sea level and will flood every year. Global warming has ensured that much. I think another issue too is the global warming. So the sea rises beyond what it is supposed to rise, and there's this a push now out of the banks of the river to the land. And then another person said, this is from JJ Omojua. He says Lagos cannot substantially fix its flooding issue without a correctional demolition of buildings. Who is ready for the socio-political cost? I think this is just talking about the fact that people build their houses on the drainage system. So by the time government says, okay, so let's begin to demolish now, who is ready for the costs? And another person says that Tolu, small Benin Republic, has spent over $100 million on flood control projects for Cotonou in the last 4 years. What has Lagos done? So it still boils down to government, how government is responding. Yes, how government is responding to some of these issues, because no matter how we see it, we might not just be suffering from individual losses. Government can also have losses,
of course,
because definitely it will cause some kind of environmental hazards, environmental degradation. I know that there's a road somewhere along this place that will work, that flood has actually caused some kind of serious erosion. The road has caught, in fact, into some parts of the road have actually caught, and then we have like we have a very serious ravine being created there. All of that, I think that it could have saved us a whole lot if maybe there were proper drainage systems where this water can flow through.
Of course, I think another thing that becomes imperative is that going forward as a people and as a society, as we begin to build structures for the later years, we need to begin to work deliberately with the master plan of our states, because maybe, of course, some of this information was not out there and available to everybody. So people just bought lands where they could buy lands and build where they could build. But I know, like a city like the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, there has been more deliberateness building in accordance to the landmark and the design of the city. I know that's one thing that El Rufai had implemented when he was the minister for the FCT at the time. So it's imperative that going forward in all of the 36 states of the Federation, we begin to build and carry out infrastructural development in honor and in cognizance of the design of the state, so that we know what parts are to be left without any kinds of structures. We know that in the structural design of every state, they have a plan where waterways are supposed to run. They have plans for where high voltage pipes are going to run. So sometimes people do not know, or they know and just ignore those information and still go build houses there. But when people get lands and go to the ministries to get clearance to be able to build on those places, now that is where you bring out the design of the landscape of the state or the area and say, okay, this place, you cannot build here, or you cannot raise this kind of structure on this land, because when the waters come, when power flows, you are going to be in danger and you're going to be putting the state, at a loss. So some of these things can be excused, because we probably did not have a more detailed society before now. Even when we look at some of the tweets that have been sent in from Lagos State, a lot of people were not able to follow the designs. They were not even aware that we had such structures in place. But we're saying going forward, people need to be able to have this information, go to these ministries, get it and honor it. Let's have a landmark and that is readily available, where people know, okay, these areas are available for residents. People can build residential homes here. People can build refineries or industries in these areas, so that we don't have a mix-up of all of these
I think
things.
another problem that people might face when it comes to, having great, town planning is great.
Yeah.
It gives the state an aesthetic look that is beautiful.
Of course.
One of the reasons why most times town plannings do not work and people build houses where they're not supposed to build houses is the fact that we have a whole lot of issues of migration. So people feel that, for example, I'll still go back to Lagos now, people feel that that is where you make it. That is where you blow, like we call it, we put it in the Nigerian parlance now.
Yeah.
You blow when you get to Lagos. So you have a lot of people thronging to the commercial city of Lagos. Now, how do you house these people?
How do you house them in a residential area?
And that's why you have a lot of estates opening up. You hear so many estates in the Lekki, Aja axis. They keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
But that's the point. Who is giving clearance for these estates to be built on the land that they are built upon?
And then that somewhere like Lekki, Aja axis now
is a waterlogged area.
It's a waterlogged area. So people come out and sandfill and sandfill and sandfill. But of course you cannot cheat nature, because sometimes maybe when the water comes up above the sea level, it just busts out. Okay? So you have people, every other year, because the flooding issue in Lagos now is like a recurrence.
Yeah.
Yes, every year it is expected that
it's going to
it is going to happen. So I don't see why people should keep folding their hands and waiting for the year that the floods will come, and then they take to social media to complain. So let us begin to do stuff. Let us begin to find ways that we can actually solve this problem.
Take more deliberate steps.
Take more deliberate steps. So we don't have to come to social media and be showing pictures and videos of how it rained. Of course, we expected it.
When we even speak of hazards, like we see here, these are cars, some of them very low, that shouldn't be put into these kinds of condition. So one thing is that the environment gets waterlogged, but then we're getting to see a lot more people that are incurring financial losses.
Of course,
because these cars need to be serviced, they need to be repaired after they have come into this kind of water. Some people have to ply these roads to and from work, like every other time, and so people are incurring financial expenses because of these kinds of things. But I mean, let's we can do better.
Of course, yes, we can do better, and we'll always want to do better. We just hope that people will begin to have that consciousness that, look, for the most that you want for your life, you can actually protect it by making sure that you do certain things that would not cause you some kind of harm, like, of course, filling the drainage systems with dirt. The government needs to do more drainage systems, but the little that we have, let's make sure that we keep it clean, and do not build your houses on drainage systems as well. Follow town planning. It's very, very necessary. We'll leave that conversation there where it is and go to something that happened yesterday. Okay, we'll take a short break, and of course, we'll come back to the conversation.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Rise and Shine, and we've been rising and shining all morning with all of the conversations and things happening here in Nigeria, things happening here in Akwa Ibom State. And there's been some really serious conversations on the top burner. Just before we went on the break, we had the conversations about the flood and all of these things that are happening. And we would always like you to join the conversation by following us on all our social media platforms, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. We're available on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Follow the conversation. Let's build the community, and let's converse about the things happening around us. At this time, Journey, so we'll just go forward to, some of the conversations that we have available for this morning. Now, we have a menace that is building up, some things that we don't even get to talk about very often. Now, yesterday in some part of Uyo, along Abak Road, we witnessed an accident that happened. A schoolgirl was run over by a car after school hours because masquerades were parading the streets at that time, about 2:33 p.m. when schools close in the city. Now we're talking about the center, the heart of the town. We're not even talking about we're not talking about hinterlands, villages here. We're talking about the heart of the city in Uyo. We had masquerades running and parading the city at that time of the day. And usually there are several beliefs with regards to masquerades. Girls cannot see the masquerades. People, when they see masquerades, they have to run, they have to hide. And I think in one of those processes, one of the female students who was trying to cross the road, she just like came first to it. Yeah, freaked out. And in the process of trying to escape, you know, from the masquerade, she got run over by a car. And as we speak, we don't know if she survived the accident because it was actually a fatal one yesterday. And we're coming to think, are there no cultural practices in this 21st century for whatever it's worth that needs to be abolished at this time?
I think another thing is some questions will be asked. Why would a masquerade come out at this time of the year? You know, as a growing child, we knew that masquerades will only come out during festive period, or there's some form of a celebration or something that would actually make a masquerade to come out. And for some, you know, communities or some states, I know that there has been like a ban on indiscriminate outings of masquerades.
Yeah.
You know, let me go back to Calabar now. I know that around the Watts Market area, there's a particular masquerade that a particular group, you know, that comes out to masquerade themselves just to beg money, you know, from people. But then it causes some kind of pandemonium because not everybody can stand it, you know, so you still have to find people scampering, you know. And I've been in that situation before, you know, where I tried to scamper, because one of the reasons why people scamper is you can't start fighting a masquerade. So, and then some of these masquerades do very funny things. They could like use their machete on you, or use their cane on you. You know, so those kind of embarrassing situations are things that people don't want, because you can't even start going to fight a masquerade. Okay, so it's better you just scamper for safety, or scamper for help. In the process of you scampering for help, just like what happened yesterday, very tragic.
Yeah,
someone got run over by a car. You know, but there are other instances where people try to scamper for help. They go pour somebody's market products, and then you're held responsible to come and pay for something you did not even you don't even have the money to pay for. So some of those things, I think government needs to take a deliberate decision on it. So if there's nothing happening, masquerade shouldn't come out for any reason. Masquerades come out for things like Christmas period, or there's a chief that you know, is being coronated. That is when we get to see masquerades come out. Or there's a chief that has passed on, you know, joined his forefathers. You see masquerades come out. But after that, I don't see why somebody would just go and put on the paraphernalia of a masquerade and just be parading on the road and causing fear and making people scamper, and then cause that kind of accident. I don't know what the people around that area did to that masquerade yesterday.
They couldn't do anything, because as of the moment when the accident happened, and you know, at that point the attention is first on trying to save the girl. We just noticed the masquerades began to run in all directions. The particular masquerade that the girl encountered began to run. I'm talking about a race that you don't even know. So you are conscious. You are conscious that you are not a masquerade. That if you're caught, something could be done to you. They probably could, you know, lynch him in that place. All of them began to run, you know, and all of those kinds of things. Why would you masquerade yourself and come into the center of a city? Now, there are even still some communities here in Akwa Ibom State that practice this masquerade thing like a do or die affair. The community where I live in, there's some seasons that for an entire week there is no activity, shops do not sell, work does not go on, because they are you know, observing these things. So the entire what do they call it,
economic life
of the area is brought under the law. Women are not caught outside. So you, before the week that the masquerades are going to come out, you need to purchase all that you need, you know, and put in your house. And
I think for that particular one, you also cannot overrule tradition.
Of course.
In any society, I think tradition is to some extent being upheld, okay? But for some reason, when these things like this want to happen, for example, the one you're talking about, I think that there is some form of town crier that goes out to tell people, okay, well, this is going to happen from this period to that period. So make sure that you get all that you need, you know, to keep you afloat within that period. Make sure you get all of it in your house. So I think already the mindset of people are programmed for that during that period.
Are there any economic benefits of these kinds of activities? Why
there
do we?
No
We are in the
benefits.
21st century. A lot of things are moving forward.
But you cannot abolish tradition totally. It takes a process.
So, but we can update on tradition. Can't we have conversations with the paramount rulers, the village heads, the people that understand the intrigues of these things?
That's why I say it takes a process.
So why don't we have people that can initiate this process? Because I mean, I don't think it tells on us. It has a beauty of its own, right? It has a story that it's telling. But I think we need to perform some cultural rites with the realities of the day and time that we live in. You cannot say that your community is going to host international organizations and for a week these people cannot do their trade because you want to observe a tradition.
How many days does it run through?
Sometimes it takes an entire week.
Okay.
Yes, 3 days upwards of 5 days, of working days. And you're saying that you're looking for development to come into your society. We know the fact, we respect the fact that these are traditions, these are cultural practices that might be upheld. But we are saying, why don't we have conversations where we have a plan that makes this cultural practices work with the day and time that we live in. Things are moving fast-paced. You can't tell me that in the Western world they will just, if they practice this kind of masquerading activities, they will just come and boom, when I'm supposed to be going to work at 5 a.m. in the morning, I can't step out because masquerades are all over the street. And then we're looking at some of these kinds of things, accidents and all whatnot.
And then it also puts people under undue stress, because for people that work during that period, you might just have to relocate for the 1 week just because you need to also be at work. But again, I think that, yes, we have to bring these conversations up because, and you asked the question, why can't we begin to talk about it? Why can't somebody initiate the fact that we need some of these things to be abolished?
And you know that some communities have moved the motions for some of these things to be done. So it's not even like, it's not a no-no, it's not a, oh, don't go there area. Because we have some communities that have really watered down how much and how frequently these things are done. We even have some areas that these masquerading activities are abolished. Now, masquerading is just one thing that is on the front burner because of the accident that happened. But there may be some other practices, or some other cultural practices that are working against the day and time that we live in. So we are not even saying that it's something that is unachievable or something that one shouldn't think about.
It's very achievable. But like I said earlier, it's a process. I remember some time ago, we did something on a female genital mutilation.
Yeah.
Okay, and we decided to take it to the hinterland, to talk about it with some of those women in the rural areas.
Yeah.
And it will surprise you how I don't want to
some
use
of the
word,
beliefs that they have behind it.
How stereotyped, and attached they are to these beliefs. You hear someone come out to tell you, my mother did it to me. I did it to my first daughter, and I'm going to do it to my second daughter. So if you have any exceptions to that, you go to your house and do yours. Do what you believe in your house.
Yeah.
So it takes a process, to begin to change the mindset of this kind of person that is stuck neck deep into the beliefs, into the cultural beliefs of, of her place or her tradition, So it's a process. Let us begin to talk about these things.
Yeah, conversations and dialogue is one way to start.
And you can also make people see that, okay, these are some of the things that, you're going to be, these are some of the hazards you're going to be facing, when you actually continue to practice this. I give you another example of somewhere in Cross River State where young girls are exchanged for money. So it was more like a culture. It was more like a tradition in that area. Young girls are used in paying debts. So my father took a debt from somebody or took a loan from somebody, and my father is not able to pay back that loan. My father could give his daughter at a very young age to the person that he collected this loan for, just because he cannot, pay back the loan. So it's called money marriage. But I thank God for a lot of people that began to look into the situation, to, begin to
ask questions
and try to show the people of this community that, look, what you're doing in recent time is called slavery.
Yeah.
You're enslaving these children. And, you know, when these girls go into marriage, the money marriage thing, they are not allowed to go to school. They are not allowed some level of freedom, you know, so it's modern day slavery.
Yeah.
Okay, so we begin to paint those pictures to those people to begin to see from our own perspective that, look, this is not tradition, this is not good at all. So I think that in this case now of masquerading in Akwa Ibom State and some of course traditional beliefs in this part, it takes we need a lot of time, you know, to be intentional about it, to be conscious about it, in educating the people, like, this is not good, this needs to be watered down, this needs to be abolished. But if we say that there's going to be a total abolition of some kind of tradition, I don't seem to agree with you, because we will still need some form of tradition to hold. You know, that there are places where, or there are communities, villages where you go to, and the chiefs, the kings of those villages in very high esteem because of the traditional stool and the traditional, how do I put it now, powers, you know, the stool represents. So total abolition of some traditions, I don't think it will come to play in Nigeria.
Well, we need to create a balance. We need to create a balance between culture and well, I wouldn't like to call it trends, but we need to build some sort of balance so that we are a forward-thinking community of people. We are productive, you know, set of people as a community. Things that will hamper growth, that will hamper productivity as societies and
or even endanger people's
lives. I mean, this is the question here. The young girl had gone to school yesterday. Her parents were expecting her back from school, but they're going to get a call that your child has been involved in an accident, and someone is going to ask what happened, and you're going to hear that in the main city of a state, masquerades were running under the hot sun at 2-3 p.m.
Okay, so I was about asking you if there was some form of celebration that could have made them come out, or is it that they just come out for the sake of coming out?
Sometimes we do not know.
For money or something.
Sometimes we do not know what sponsors their activities. You know that some of these areas, even within the city, are people's local governments. They are people's villages. So you might just have whatever, you may not know what they're marking in their village or not. And then sometimes, just like you said, some of these people just dress up to come and perform some antics on the road, or just come back for money, and they decide that that's the best regalia that they're going to come out with. So we may not even be able to tell what exactly was going on, that we had masquerades on the road. Yes. It's such a sad situation, and we hope that the people that understand how culture works can begin to have these conversations that help us balance up. We just need a balancing. We need you to, if we have communities where they said, okay, our masquerades need to be out for 10 days straight, we can have, okay, let's say you need to be happy, everybody needs to be happy. Instead of 10 days, can you take 3 days? And I think
that, you know, those that would say chiefs or paramount rulers or kings of some of those communities, you know, have a bigger role to play. And so if you have like paramount rulers or clan heads, you know, various communities that are educated and are in touch with the times, definitely we can use these people to penetrate, because of course they listen to them a lot, they wield some kind of power because people listen to them. So if they're educated, you have, you know, have education in some sort of way, they can also help, you know, to sensitize their people, like, look, now let's not also forget, these laws were made by people, these traditions were cooked by people,
were initiated
by people. So as we evolve as a people, we begin to tweak it, see the parts that, you know, is not favorable to us anymore, and then ditch those ones, and then continue with the path that is in tune with us in a 21st century.
Exactly.
You know, I think there was a picture some time ago that we saw in one of these African countries where they cut their body parts to sell or something like that. That's part of their tradition. That's barbaric, if you ask me. So these are some of the traditions that we see that when once a tradition becomes barbaric, I think it has to be ditched.
And that doesn't live up to the time that we live in. I mean, let's have conversations around these things. You know, when
we also have to have a lot of sensitization.
Those are some of the dialogues we're talking about.
It has to start from the clan
Grassroots.
heads. It has to start from them, because when they see that their obong is saying do not do this anymore, I think it will go a long way than when they have to have government come in some form of NGOs or you know, volunteer groups to come and speak English and say, oh, this one is not good, that one is not good. You know, for them it's like, where's this person coming from? But I think that when this education and sensitization begins to come from their own, which is their obong or their clan head, telling them, look, we need to do this, we need to tweak this, we need to ditch this, I think that will go a long way.
It goes to also say that education is also important, because the more enlightened and exposed people that we have in the seats of rulership in some of these places, it will affect some of the changes we begin to experience in our local governments, in our villages. You know, we might not be calling for a total abolishment of some of those cultures, but we're just seeing a balance where everybody works together, you know, for the furtherance of the good of the communities and the states that we live in as a people.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to say that, you know, when once these traditional rulers begin to say things, it happens. I take my mind back to when COVID was there, you know, and then they called for immunization. Is it vaccination now? You know, people go for people that are influencers.
Yeah.
They see that your governor is an influencer. They go to him, take the shot, and see if your citizens or your people in your community will not take, or people in your state will not take. They go to a clan head, give the shot, take the shot, and let's see if people around your community will not be able to take it. So these are pointers, you know, these are people that can actually cause some kind of very positive change in our society.
I know that's something that is like part of a cultural practice, that now that's not like calling for abolishment. That sector of cultural practice is calling for a total review. I know we've had that conversation before here on Rise and Shine, and it's something when we talk about things that we hope that we can experience some changes with, we need to consistently have those conversations to put it in the faces of the people that can drive this required change. So we talk about, like, when we talk about cultural practices that govern some of the marriage rights in some local governments, in some villages, when you hear about it, it goes to explain why a lot of people in those communities are unmarried, because nobody wants to think about